Hi there. I want to talk about grace. You know, uh, Grace in the sense of the Christian doctrine. So basically, um, the Bible says that we're saved by grace, but what is grace? Can other people experience grace? The answer to that question is yes. Of course, the whole world can experience grace. The Bible talks, or Christianity talks about something called common grace, and that's something that's given not just to Christians, but to the entire planet. So um, I personally believe that most of the world, a lot of people in the world don't understand the concept of grace, and it's something that can be lost in a sense in society when things become so fast paced, especially with the internet, that people lose that sense of that natural flow and rhythm of life. Um, I think one of the indications that people are really losing a sense of grace in their lives is that most people are quick to condemn, they're critical, and they don't allow for other people to make mistakes. And this has kind of crept actually into Christianity, where a lot of people who are claiming to be Christian are actually throwing stones of condemnation, guilt, uh, just a general critical attitude of not just people in the world but other people. And I think uh, part of this has to do with the fact that we live in a world where people just don't allow life to progress as it naturally should be progressing. I think part of understanding grace is understanding that God is sovereign. So um, you know man has been given a stewardship. We are stewards of the earth. We're not sovereign over it. And so when things happen on this planet, when we're experiencing um, things on this planet, we want to, and we can't control them. It brings a sense of frustration, right? So whenever there's a calamity or natural disaster or um, other big events that tend to be out of our control. In previous generations, the world had a better practical, a better understanding of what grace was. So even if you weren't a Christian in a previous generation, you would not have this sense of wanting to control everything. And I think that sense of wanting to control everything just really um, deflates the sense of grace in our lives. And so obviously we're human, we can't control everything. That's why God gives us his grace. um, the Bible says that God gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. So the more that people come to the more that the Bible says in the latter times that knowledge will increase. And so unfortunately the more knowledge that people have doesn't necessarily make them smarter. So, because we have all of this knowledge floating around on planet Earth right now, it just you can hold this device in your hand and then be connected to all kinds of knowledge and information and directions and communication, instant communication. That doesn't necessarily make us smarter than previous generations, because in previous generations where we didn't have all of this technology, um, people enjoyed the natural flow of life better. And when there were problems, there was more unity in the world. There wasn't this great division between religion and non-religion, between man who believes in God and man who doesn't believe in God. There wasn't this great divide. And I think that, um, like I said, grace shouldn't shouldn't make us critical. It shouldn't. We're not. Grace is the opposite of that. It allows people. It allows things to flow naturally, right? So I think, you know, there's been a lot of talk over the past few years about cultivating kindness and cultivating compassion. I think these are important. I think in previous generations we didn't necessarily have to cultivate even though some people would say that we did, but we didn't have to cultivate those qualities like love. These were something that were a part of our society, and I think when we believe we deserve things, like we can get things immediately, that's not necessarily a good thing, because sometimes we have to be patient. Sometimes we have to allow certain events to transpire before we can actually receive the things that we're praying for, that we're wanting in life. But I think we've almost become like spoiled children in that sense, where if we don't get what we want now, we fight people, we cancel other people out, and we try to get our way, and it's just like you're battling yourself, and you're not allowing the natural flow of life to happen. And I think that can affect your mental health. Part of what kept people in good mental health in previous generations was the fact that things were settled. And when you're settled, you can actually feel God's presence. You can feel you can be a part. You can feel the environment around you. You don't have to feel like you're disassociated from your thinking. You don't have to feel like everything has to be now or it's never. And I think even kind of like the building of society these days is really built around the fact that, like, if it's not efficient and it doesn't happen quickly, then it's not good, right? These are qualities in previous generations that we looked down upon, because we knew that with time, when you cultivate these things in time and you have patience, usually the end result is better than kind of rushing things all the time and wanting things like immediately. So I'm not saying this to condemn anyone, because that's not necessarily a quality that somebody who's wanting grace would want to have someone think about them in that sense. So like, can you cultivate these qualities? Yes, you can cultivate these qualities, but and another big thing that's lacking in this generation is faith, because when we are always rushed and we don't allow life to just take its natural course, we tend to lose faith very quickly, because if we're not seeing the results that we want now, then we begin to doubt God, and we begin to be harsh and brutal even with other people, demanding that if it's not done now for me, then there's something wrong. So again, I'm not saying this to condemn anyone. I think that there are people in this generation who recognize that things need to slow down if we're going to actually accomplish things of value in our lives. And so these are just some thoughts. I hope they help some people maybe settle down in a more grace-filled way. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.